Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Mosai, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah, not Abba. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah, not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So we got to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rekah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, bishops and elders of great millstone who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, already accepted or not. In a sense of salutation to all the occupant pushing the truth and believing the truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Atwath while listening, learning, you few sisters while listening, learning. Coming at you another lesson of truth, facts, faith, and application. Another day of edification, Lord, witness be edified. So I titled this lesson, A Siege is Approaching. And I had pulled this video, which I'm gonna show some of it. Just like the first probably few minutes of it. Because I had a little vision a little while ago. I did a lesson on maybe last year sometime. And I was I had a vision that like the story about surrounding Jericho and how Joshua and the men walked around Jericho and surrounded it. I had a dream that was happening to America, that the men of the Lord was surrounding America, and the same thing happened in Jericho. It was a while, about a year or so ago. I usually don't get dreams, but so I just had one yesterday, earlier this morning, and it was like I was in an airplane and I was flying around America, and all I could see is like from the sky, like armies all surrounded. It was on fire, and there was a lot of atrocities going on, a lot of calamities. So I just saw it, and I thought about this clip I watched on the besiege of Jerusalem. So I just want to play some of this and get a few precepts, because I saw America on fire, and like the armies and all kind of things was going on. So it was just something real short I had a vision on. Then I woke up, and then all I could see was like I was on the outside flying around, like I was in a plane, and I was watching the destruction happen of America. So turn this volume down. I just want to play some of this because this is everything that's finna go down. It's for the elect's sake. First and foremost, the name of Yahweh Shema Shah, and for the elect's sake because they put their hands on us. But I get to see a clear vision of when the armies come in, and it's gonna be martial law, and it's gonna be a lot of things going on here in America, man. First and foremost, here in Babylon, the Great America. So I thought about this because I had this vision a while ago of surrounding all the men, all the camps, all the brothers, the elect surrounding Babylon the Great and walking around it, and then it fell. But then today I had a different vision from the sky point of view. So check this out.
The siege of Jerusalem was a massive military endeavor, the likes of which had not been seen since the fall of Carthage 2 centuries earlier. Starting in April of 70 AD and lasting nearly 5 months, the battle would be a brutal, no-holds-barred brawl fought over every inch of the city. At stake, success of the Great Revolt in Judea and the survival.
And to see the same way how these armies coming in, this is how I saw. I was from a point, I was from the sky point of view, and it was like I was flying around, seeing all the destruction that was happening. Fire was all in the midst of all these cities. It was calamities. Like I saw everything going on, man. But I was in the sky, flying around.
People. Roman involvement in Judea first began in 63 BC when Pompey the Great was drawn into a Jewish civil war and eventually seized Jerusalem. However, the region saw much turbulence during the final years of the Republic and was taken over by the Parthians, before legions returned to install the puppet king Herod. Eventually, a series of procurators oversaw Judea, but these largely lacked the competency or military power to impose order. Roman authority was highly dependent on local elites who themselves often lacked the confidence or respect of the Jewish people. On top of this, the population of Judea was divided across lines of class, ethnic, and religious divisions. As a result, the region was highly unstable. Revolutions seemed perpetually around the corner. In May of 66 AD, rioting amongst the people was met by the heavy-handed overreaction of the Roman procurator Florus, who only further incensed the situation by plundering southwest Jerusalem and killing 3,600 people. As the situation escalated, reinforcements soon arrived from Caesarea, only to be driven out by a rebellion that now spread to the entire region. Jerusalem was taken by Jewish rebels, while Roman strongholds were eliminated in Judea and Perea. Roman efforts to combat the uprising were led by Vespasian and his son Titus, under orders from the Emperor Nero. The campaign season of 67 AD saw Vespasian advance south from Antioch and focus his efforts on subduing Galilee. Field battles were virtually unheard of, given the huge advantage the Romans held, and most of the fighting was concentrated around fortifications. This resulted in particularly brutal treatment of any population did not seal. Rome often acted particularly strict to make a point. During the 68 AD offensive in Judea, for instance, cities downstream of the Roman army learned of their approach not by messengers, but by the arrival of bodies floating down the Jordan River. The campaign ground to a halt with the news of Nero's death. The anarchy that followed was known as the Year of Four Emperors, and included a bid for power by Vespasian on July 1st, 69 AD. By the summer of 70 AD, he had come out the victor and set sail for Rome to claim his prize. Titus was left in command of the Judean campaign with instructions to put an end to the Jewish uprising. This, of course, meant the long-delayed assault on Jerusalem, home to the rebel leaders and the heart of the resistance. Titus began the Jerusalem campaign in the spring of 70 AD. His army of 4 legions was assembled in Alexandria and marched north to Caesarea along the shoreline. Supporting his force were 23 cohorts of auxiliary infantry, 8 alai of cavalry, and numerous detachments of local troops.
Hey, it said he brought 4 legions of soldiers, which is 20,760 soldiers. Well, Yahushua said he could have called down 12 legion of angels, man. 12 legions, man. Over 800,000 angels, man. That's what he could have called down from heaven. So guess what's coming back with Yahushua, man?
Provided by his client rulers. Historical records seem to claim that this force numbered around 60,000 men. These estimates imply that the core legionary troops made up around 35% of the army, the auxiliary troops about 32%, and the remaining local forces about 33%. Such a high of local troops has raised some doubts on the accuracy of our sources. However, we may speculate that local rulers were eager to donate men to the war effort in a political bid to secure Rome's goodwill amidst a bloody revolt. The Roman...
Hey, Abigail proverb. Hey, the water. Hey, the water. Yeah, Bashim Awashab Barakatah. Hey, the water to you, sister. Hey, appreciate everything you do. You got my heart. The water.
Commanders themselves may also have been eager to have additional troops at their side. While the local forces were surely not as reliable as the crack legionaries, they could take on many responsibilities of the army and thus free up the elite troops to do what they did best. This would be especially important in the upcoming siege of a city as large and well fortified as Jerusalem. The Roman forces approached Jerusalem direct road, while the 5th Macedonica approached via Emmaus, and the 10th Fretensis approached via Jericho. On April 23rd, the lead units of the 12th and 15th Legions arrived on the hills to the north of the city. That night, the 5th Macedonica arrived, and by morning, the rest of the army entered the battlefield. Before them, lay the great city with gleaming temples and stout battlements. The city of Jerusalem is surrounded on three sides by steep ravines. To the east lies the Kidron Valley, to the west the Gihon Valley, and sweeping around the south is the Hinnom Valley. A series of hills surround the area, including the famed Mount of Olives to the east. Ancient Jerusalem itself was built atop several key topographic features. The city incorporated two spurs of land with the Tyropaean Valley in between. Atop the eastern spur stood the Temple Mount and the Antonia Fortress. The heights of the western spur were occupied by the elites who had built the upper city during the Hashmonean and Herodian periods. In the middle of these two areas sprawled the more ancient and crowded lower city, which held most of the population. Both the upper and lower cities were enclosed by a wall, which was anchored on the flank by the massive fortifications around the Temple Mount. Inevitably, the population outgrew its bounds, and the second city was developed north of the first wall. This exposed position was soon surrounded by a second wall, which ran from the Antonia in the east to the Genath Gate in the west. By the 1st century AD, another suburb had sprung up to the north, known as the New City. Once again, expansion necessitated fortifications, and in 41 AD, Herod Agrippa commissioned the construction of the third wall. This was an ambitious project with massive stone blocks meant to enclose a large area. It seems that the scale of the defensive works raised some suspicion amongst the Romans, who forced their client king to abandon the project before its completion. Over the course of the Jewish revolt, however, the people of Jerusalem managed to put the finishing touches on their third layer of battlements. By the time the legions arrived outside Jerusalem, the walls had been raised an additional 9 meters, and a series of square towers were built projecting outwards. The combination of tough terrain and stout walls made for a formidable 3-layered defensive network. Additionally, the maze of narrow streets between the fortifications could be easily blockaded, while numerous underground water and sewage passages meant that defenders could emerge from any direction for a surprise attack on intruders. Bunkered within this massive, fortified city was a garrison of approximately 20,000 Jewish troops. However, these were not professional forces. Rather, they were a motley assortment of militiamen, refugees, and zealots. This composition is a reflection of the thoroughly fractured nature of the Jewish resistance. Since the outbreak of the revolt, an effective, centralized government had failed to take form, and resistance suffered from a chronic failure to synergize its various factions. Jerusalem had been divided along party lines and was tearing itself apart in bloody political infighting right up until the arrival of Roman forces. The principal leaders were Simon Gioras, who laid claim to the upper city, and John of Gischala, who was based out of the Temple Mount. Simon led the larger of the two forces, which included 10,000 men under 50 officers and 6,000 allied Idumeans under 8 commanders. These troops garrisoned the first wall from the Kidron all the way to the Palace of the Kings. On the other side of the city, John had an armed following of around 6,000 men under 20 officers and was joined by Eleazar with his 2,400 zealots. These forces held the Temple Mount, along with the surrounding neighborhoods, including the Ophel and the Tyropaean Valley. Traditional Jewish fighters were lightly armed and armored. They fought at range with slings, bows, and javelins, before closing in with spears, swords, and clubs. While agile and determined, they often stood no chance in a straight-up engagement against Roman forces, especially heavy cavalry. However, the Jews in Jerusalem were much better prepared than was typical. They had been amassing equipment from Jewish workshops, Herodian armories, arms dealers, deserters, and defeated enemies. A substantial amount of gear gathered Romans at Beth Horon, including an array of artillery pieces. In addition, the confused mess of siege warfare would negate many of the advantages a Roman force would enjoy in a field battle. Lastly, it must be said that the morale of the defenders was strengthened by the inevitable survival instincts that took hold when a city resolved to fight or die. While considering the armies as important, we would do well to remember that sieges are battles of attrition. As such, it is necessary to ask about the food and water supplies. Fresh water, at least, was not of immediate concern, owing to the presence of numerous cisterns around the city, as well as several massive pools which trapped rainwater. Food, on the other hand, was in short supply. During the infighting that preceded the siege, many of the grain stores had been raided or destroyed by opposing parties. In addition, the already huge population of Jerusalem had swelled to dangerous levels in recent weeks with the arrival of pilgrims celebrating Passover. The non-combatant populace far outnumbered the armed defenders and imposed severe limitations on the length supplies could last. Once the Romans closed in on Jerusalem, the countdown began. The Roman army had undergone a long march to reach Jerusalem. Titus recognized that his men were exhausted and ordered that they construct preliminary camps out of range of the city. The 12th and 15th legions, who had arrived from the northeast, began to set up a kilometer away, atop Mount Scopus, with another camp planned for the 5th Macedonica, 550 meters further back. As the legions moved into place, Titus rode ahead to personally survey the defenses. On the morning of April 23rd, he set off with 600 horsemen, following the road that led to the main gate of the third wall. However, the terrain was uneven and cluttered with gardens, olive groves, hedges, fences, walls, and stone structures which had been knocked down by the defenders. In other words, he walked into a maze of obstacles. All of a sudden, Jewish forces burst out of the gate and swarmed the Roman column, cutting it in half. Cavalrymen in the rear bolted out into the open country they had come from. Meanwhile, Titus and his escorts were left behind. The general had neglected to wear his helmet or breastplate for the expedition, but nonetheless drew his sword and led a charge to break out. According to Josephus, he, quote, diverted those perpetually with his sword that came on his side, overturned many of those that directly met him, and made his horse ride over those that were overthrown, end quote. The encounter was a close call, but ultimately the Romans were able to cut their way through, though they lost several men and left many injured. Titus was likely shaken by the event and eager to get the siege underway. He ordered the 10th Fretensis to move even closer and began constructing entrenchments atop the Mount of Olives. However, the Jews were emboldened by their near success and decided to follow up with a massive assault. Sorties poured out of the eastern and southern gateways, their sights set on the working legionaries. Fighters streamed across the Kidron Valley and descended upon the half-built camp of the 10th Fretensis. The Romans were caught completely off guard. Jewish troops started cutting down their disorganized opponents while more out from the city to complete the rout. Titus attacked the flank with his bodyguard, which was enough to force the mob back down the ravine. The 10th Fretensis resumed work, only to come under a second assault from Jews who had been steadily bringing in more and more men. This ferocious attack overwhelmed the Roman force on the low ground. Many of the soldiers fled for the heights, while Titus and a band of troops attempted to hold the line. Soon after, the legionaries regrouped and countercharged down the hill, driving the Jews back once more. In the ensuing lull, the camp fortifications were finally completed. This secured the Roman forward position, but left everyone with a reminder that the strength of the Jewish defense had been dangerously underestimated. In response, Titus now took precautions against further counterattacks. He posted cavalry divisions to deflect attacks and ordered cleared. It was time to get to work. Titus recognized the hardship of attacking from the east, where the ravines were steepest. As a result, he decided to focus on the western flank of the third wall. The 10th Fretensis was left to hold the Mount of Olives, while the 3 remaining legions were redeployed. The 5th built a camp 400 meters west of the western gate, while the 12th and 15th legions established themselves opposite the Sephinus Tower.
So the point I want to make, a show is that there's a siege coming, man, to Babylon the Great. Let me read this. Matter of fact, let me just get in the blue letter. There's a siege coming and Jake ain't ready, man. And it's the Lord that's setting this up. So I was just thinking about this because I had this vision, man, a while ago. I mentioned of all the men of the Lord walking around Babylon, just like with Joshua and the men of Jericho that was walking around Jericho until it fell. Same thing is going to happen with America, man, because everything is going on because of the words of the Lord. He says, "Word should not go out void." So, in the said Revelations 17 and 9, I mean 17 and 17, it says, "Until the words of the Lord be fulfilled." So, once the elect gets sealed, man, this thing gonna happen quick, man. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 reads, "The thing that have been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It have been already of old time, which was before us." Then Ecclesiastes 3, Ecclesiastes 3 and 15, it reads, "That which have been is now, and that which is to be have already been, and God required that which is past." And when we look at these stories over and over, these things always happen, man, because of disobedience. So in Luke 19 and 39, it reads, Luke 19 and 39, and some of the Pharisees from among the multitude said unto him, Master, rebuke thy disciples. And he answered and said unto them, I tell you, if these should hold their peace, the stones would immediately cry out. Because these men of the Lord supposed to, hey, give the people the words of the Lord, man. America being destroyed, repent, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Hey, the Lord finna do some great judgment, man. Repent while you can, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So it's saying some of the Pharisees from among the multitude said unto him, Master, rebuke thy disciples. Hey, because you remember when you read in Luke 5, I mean, what is that? Acts chapter 5, when they wanted Peter and them to stop pushing the name of the Lord, man. And he answered and said unto them, I tell you that if these should hold their peace, the stones would immediately cry out. And when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it. Is Jehoshaphat weeping over the city, saying, If thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hid from thy eyes. Because two-thirds don't know what's about to go down, man. It said, For the days shall come upon thee that thy enemies shall stretch a trench about thee and compass thee round about and keep thee in on every side. And that's what I was showing you with that siege of Jerusalem, man. This is going to happen, man. This is finna happen again. It say, and shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. And this was coming, man. And two-thirds don't know what's about to go down, man. They on every side. It was what is that? Second Ezra, 15 and 16, man. It shall be 10 left in the city. A man shall desire to go into another city, but shall not be able because of the what's this called? Man, those are my thoughts right now. The martial law. So let's get this. Oh, what was I finna get Oh, let's get this real quick. So it tell you in Daniel's. So what happened in 70 AD is nothing to what's about to happen, man. Daniel 12. They finna hit this place on, they gonna surround this place, man. It's gonna be locked down. They say the time of the end. See? Daniel 12 and 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the people, which standeth for the children of thy people, which is sons of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, the elect, everyone that shall be found written in the book. So this time is coming, man. This time is coming. So in Deuteronomy, when you think about what happened, it's Deuteronomy 28. Because in that siege, man, when you think about the one with the Babylonians, the siege with the Babylonians, the same thing happened, man. It say Deuteronomy 28 and 53, and thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord thy power have given thee in the siege and in the straightness wherewith thy enemies shall distress thee. And this is coming again, man. Let's get this in 2 Kings. Jake think this is a game, man. It's coming, man. And the Lord gave us, he's giving everybody time to prepare, man. But some people checking out, down without knowledge. It's 2 Kings 6 and 24. And it came to pass after this that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts and went up and besieged Samaria. And there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the fourth part of a calf of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. And as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my lord, O, O king. And he said, If the Lord doeth not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor, or out of the wine press? And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her, On the next day, give thy son, that we may eat him. And she had hid her son. And it came to pass, when the king heard the words of the woman, that he rent his clothes, and he passed by upon the wall. And the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth within upon his flesh. So the precept to this is Lamentations 4. Lamentations 4 and 9. Because they bored the woman's son, man. And people were eating shit, man. It's a Lamentations 4 and 9. People was eating dung. It was eating dung. That's what shit is. Dung. When you see it in the Bible, dung, that's shit. Lamentations 4 and 9. It said, They that be slain with hunger are better than they that be slain with the they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pound away, stricken through for wants of the fruits of the field. It said, The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their children. Sodden mean the boy. What we just read in 2 Kings 6. The hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. See, this is going to happen again, man. This is going to happen again. The Lord have accomplished his fury. He have poured out his fierce anger, and have kindled a fire in Zion, and it have devoured the foundation thereof. The kings of the earth and all the inhabitants of the world would not have believed that the adversary and that the enemy shall have entered into the gates of Jerusalem. See, Let me get this. In Luke, that's what we saw in that clip, man. And the clip is like 44 minutes. I just want to play some of it, man. Because a lot of people, this one chick, the one chick that Elder knocked us out about that video on when she read Deuteronomy, talking about it wasn't no gates. Well, no, when she said it wasn't no walls, it was walls surrounding Jerusalem. These slow bellies don't read, man. This is Luke 23 and 26. And as they led him away, they laid hold uh, upon one Simon, a Cyrenian, coming out of the country, and on him they laid the cross that he might bury it after Yahushua. And it say, and there followed him a great company of people and of women, which also bewailed and lamented him. But Yahushua turned unto them as he's toting the cross. But Yahushua turned unto them and said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For behold, the days are coming in the which they shall say, blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bear, and the paps which never gave suck. Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. And this happened in 70 AD. For if they do these things in a green tree, green represent everything flourishing right now, just like when you read Joel 2, when it said, before the missiles, the land was as a garden of Eden, but behind them a desolate wilderness. It said the same different right here. It said, for if they do these things in a green tree, everything is flourishing. It is all good, pieces and cream. Life is what it is. Life is in abundance. What shall be done in the dry? Hey, because destruction is coming, man. What is that? Luke. This is Luke 17 and 26. Everything all good right now before the missiles hit. But wait till after they hit. Everything's going to be dry. It's all green and flourishing right now. Luke 17 and 26, it reads, and as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Now here comes a flood of fire, man. Likewise, also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. What's going on right now? A lot of buying and selling, a lot of planting and building, man. A lot of this going on. Jake building gardens, Jake growing gardens, and Esau building. Every time you look around, there's some construction somewhere. New interstates, new buildings, new streets, new sidewalks. Hey, what the Lord said, what they shall build, but he would throw down. Likewise, also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. A lot of people getting businesses, right? These PPP loans, hey, buying and selling, planting and building. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven. What's coming now? And the Lord showed us this is an example of nothing being new, man. This time that fire and brimstone is going to come out of those warheads, man. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. Now look, it say it rained fire and brimstone when you go to Revelations. Revelations 9 and 16. It reads, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in a vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and of brimstone. And the heads of the horses whereas the heads of lions, the warheads, and out of their mouths issue what? Fire and smoke and brimstone. So, as it say right here, Luke 17 and 19, Luke 17 and 29, but the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone. So none of the Lord got a little technical with it and had these devils to put that same fire and brimstone inside these intercontinental ballistic missiles, man. This is Leviticus. See right here. This is Leviticus 26. Let me jump up, so this is Leviticus 26. Right here. Let's start at 25. Hold on. Oh, let's go right. Yeah, let's start here at 24. It reads Leviticus 26 and 24. Then will I also walk contrary unto you, and will punish you yet 7 times for your sins. Completion. Hey, the Lord finna bring a terrible judgment this time, man. Ain't gonna be nothing like the besiege of the Babylonians in 586, and nothing like 70 AD, man. Nothing like the flood. It said, and I will bring a sword upon you that shall avenge the quarrel of my covenant. And when you are gathered together within your cities, I will send a pestilence among you, and ye shall be delivered into the hand of the enemy. Now this happened. This happened in 586. This happened majorly because it happened a lot of times because we went into the hands of the Moabites, the Ammonites, right? A lot of times these heathens. But hey, a major happening with 586 BC with the Babylonians and 70 AD. It say, and I will break, and I have broken the staff of your bread. Hey, the Lord taking away our comfort too, man. And I will, it say, and when I have broken the staff of your bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in one oven, and they shall deliver you your bread again by weight, and you shall eat it and not be satisfied. And that's happening now, man. It say, which it happened then too. And if ye would not for all this hearken unto me, but walk contrary unto me, then will I walk contrary unto you also in fury, and I, even I, will chastise you 7 times for your sins. And ye shall eat and you shall eat the flesh of your sons and the flesh of your daughters shall ye eat. This happened over and over, man. Over and over. Let's get another one. Just showing these examples. The Lord did this over and over and over, man. It always happened. It's nothing new, man. So they think something new is happening. They crazy. It's going to happen again. In Isaiah 3, the Lord said he's taking away. Let me get that. Let me hold it before I forget it. In Isaiah 3. So this Jeremiah 19 and 9, it reads, and I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat everyone the flesh of his friend in the siege and straightness. This, man, it say, wherewith thy enemies, and they that seek their lives shall straighten them. Hold on. Let me get this. What is that? In Zechariah. Let's get this. He said, you shall eat your friend, man. That's Zechariah 14, I think it is. Let me see. Yeah. Zechariah 14 and 13. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from Yahweh shall be among them, and they shall lay hold everyone on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor, man. Let me get one more here. In Isaiah 9. Hey, there's nothing new, man. This ain't new. It ain't new, man. And that's what make it even more terrifying, man. This is Isaiah 9. I'm starting at 18. It reads, "For wickedness burneth as the fire, it shall devour the briars and thorns, and shall kindle in the thickets." As a matter of fact, let's read here 17. "Therefore the Lord shall have no joy in their young men." Or the reason why, let's read 16. Isaiah 9 and 16. "For the leaders of this people call them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed." When these other camps gonna start telling you about Jacob's trouble? When we in Jacob's trouble? That's when they gonna start telling Jacob about Jacob's trouble, when we directly in Jacob's trouble? Because nobody's talking about this, man. Isaiah 9 and 17. "Therefore the Lord shall have no joy in the young men." Why? Because they are following these vain people. Neither shall have mercy on the fatherless and widows. For everyone is a hypocrite and an evildoer. And I say this all the time, man. Everybody is a hypocrite and an antichrist, man. They're against the truth of the scriptures, man. Oh, let me read this real quick. Gonna come back. In Jeremiah 5 and 2. Hey, when you get around people, you find out they don't believe in the Lord, man. This is Jeremiah 5 and 2. The Lord say, "And though they say the Lord liveth, surely they swear falsely, man." And it said, what the Lord said, what? "Therefore the Lord shall have no joy in their young men, neither shall have mercy on their fatherless and widows. Everyone is an hypocrite and an evildoer, and every mouth speaketh folly. For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still." I hate when this computer do this, man. So like it. So it say, verse 18, "For wickedness burneth as the fire, it shall devour the briars and thorns," which is 2/3, "and shall kindle in the thickets of the forest," right here in Babylon the Great, "and they shall mount up like the lifting up of smoke." The people, man. It say, "Through the wrath of the Lord of hosts is the land darkened, and the people shall be as the fuel of the fire. No man shall spare his brother." Verse 20, "And he shall snatch." It said, "No man shall spare his brother," man. And the scripture talk about that in Matthew 10. In Luke 12, it say, "And he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied." Like it said in Leviticus 26. "They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm." This coming, man. This is coming. Let's get another one. It has happened multiple times, man. This is talking about Babylon right here, man. Jeremiah was in Babylon, man. This is Leviticus. Not Leviticus, Lamentation. You gotta remember that Isaiah too. That Isaiah 3, because I'll forget it. Lamentations 2 and 20. It reads, "Behold, O Yahweh, and consider to whom thou hast done this. Shall the women eat their fruit, and the children of a span young? Shall the priest and the prophet be slain in the sanctuary of the Lord? The young and the old lie on the ground in the streets. My virgins and my young men are fallen by the sword. Thou hast slain them in the day of thine anger. Thou hast killed and not pitied," man. You see? "Thou hast called as in a solemn day my terrors round about. So in the day of the Lord's anger, none escaped, nor remained. Those that I have swallowed and brought up have my enemy consumed." The Lord say he swallowed us. Like it say, Yahweh Shah was swallowed up and wrapped up in the, you know, like a baby, when you wrap a baby up when they're newborn. The Lord say, "Those that I have swallowed and brought up have my enemy consumed," man. What is that? Hold on, let's get this. Hold on. It say right here again, "Behold," Lamentation 2 and 20, "O Yahweh, and consider to whom thou hast done this. Shall the women eat their fruit, and the children of a span long? It happened, man, over and over and over, man. And this is talking about Babylon as well, man. This is Ezekiel chapter 5. Jake around here playing, man. But they gonna find out. They gonna it's hey. When are these guys gonna warn you about Jacob's trouble, man? When Jacob's trouble is happening, when you see the troops coming in and it's martial law, I did a lesson of maybe a couple months now. The months going so fast. Oh, they had 30 cities in China locked down, man. And the lady was saying they running out of food over there. And they were saying if you leave your house, you might not be able to get back into it, man. This is Ezekiel 5 and 5. Thus saith the Lord power. This is Jerusalem. I have set it in the midst of the nations and countries and she have changed my judgments into wickedness. And King David said this, man, in Psalm 55. He said in the city, none but wickedness goes on, man. And she have changed my judgments into wickedness. More than the nations was that Jeremiah 5 and 26. For my people found wicked men. They lay wait as he that set of snares. Right? They set trap, they catch men. It said the Lord say, Jake have surpassed the deeds of the wicked man. And she have changed my judgments into wickedness more than the nations. More than the nations. So, hey, that was mercy for the Lord to send the Babylonians. That was mercy when the Lord sent the Romans, man, 70 AD. And leading that whole army, Titus and Vespasian, was Tiberius, Julius Alexander, man, of Jake. It said, when I started planning, it said they started the army, they led from Alexandria, man. There was a lot of Jake, man, fighting for Titus and Vespasian, man. And this guy Tiberius Julius Alexander, he killed over I don't know if you saw the lesson I did a while ago. He killed over 50,000 people in Alexandria, man. Wicked Jake, man. Again, they say, and she have changed my judgments into wickedness more than the nations, and my statutes more than the countries that are round about her. This is what Jake did, man. Following these heathen customs, man. For they have refused my judgments and my statutes. They have not walked in them. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh power, because ye multiply more than the nations that are round about you, and have not walked in my statutes, neither have kept my judgments, neither have done according to the judgments of the nations that are round about you. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, even I, am against thee, and will execute judgments in the midst of thee, in the sight of the nations. And that's why for the hopeful elect, when you read in what is that? Let me get it here. In Sirach 36. Because what the Lord did to us in the midst of the nations, well, for the hopeful elect, man, for his name's sake, first and foremost, for the hopeful elect, let me read it. This is Ecclesiastes 36 and 1. Have mercy upon us, O Yahweh, power of all, and behold us, and send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee. Lift up thy hand against the strange nations, and let them see thy power. As thou wast sanctified in us before them, so be thou magnified among them before us, and let them know thee as we have known thee, that there is no power, but only thou, O power. Show new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works. Raise up indignation and pour out wrath, take away the adversary and destroy the enemy. And this is going to happen. It says, shake the time short, remember the covenant, and let them declare thy wonderful works. Let him that escapeth be consumed by the rage of the fire, and let them perish that oppress the people. Smite and son of the heads of the rulers of the heathen. Who are the heads? The Edomites, that say, there is none other but we. Gather all the tribes of Jacob together and inherit thou them as from the beginning. So it says, smiting some of the heads of the rulers of the heathen. And this is going to happen when you read Amos 9. The Lord say, cut them in the head, all of them. And shall not none escape, man. It said, though they go into, in Amos 9, though they hide into their mountains, though they go up to the space station, because they got a whole resort up there, man. They got a whole, they got a whole Marriott up there, that space station, man. Though they hide into the bottom of the sea in they sub yachts, they $1 billion sub yachts, right? The Lord going, and they in bunkers, man. The Lord finna get it. Say smite the heads of the heathen. And the Lord said it. When you read in Genesis 3 and 15, the Lord say, they bruised our heel, but we're going to bruise their head in the end, man. It's going to be a fatal wound that shall not be healed this time, man. And the precept to that Genesis 3 and 15 is Romans 16 and 20, man. It said, the God of peace shall bruise Satan under your feet shortly, man. Because they bruised our heel, right? They hit us in Achilles. But it healed up over time. Well, we finna bruise them in the head, and it's gonna be and this wound here, and they'll never come back from it. But dealing with Jake hard-headed, man, and they're gonna have to die grievous deaths. It say again, Ezekiel 5 and 8. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, and will execute judgment in the midst of thee, in the sight of the nations. And that's why I tell you in Ezekiel 39, as Ezekiel 39 starting at 21, that the heathen's gonna know, man, that we ain't going to captivity because they were stronger than us. We went into captivity because we went against the Lord, man. It say, and I will do in thee that which I have not done, and it say, and whereunto I will not do any more the like, because of all thine abominations. Therefore, the fathers shall eat the sons in the midst of thee, and the sons shall eat their fathers. And I will execute judgments in thee, and the whole remnant of thee will I scatter into all the winds. Wherefore, as I live, saith the Lord power, surely because thou hast defiled my sanctuary with all thy detestable things, and with all thine abominations, therefore will I also diminish thee, neither shall my eye spare, neither will I have any pity. And that's what I was going to read that too, Ezekiel 9. It's a third part of thee shall die with pestilence, and with famine shall it be consumed in the midst of thee. And a third part shall fall by the sword round about thee, and I will scatter a third part into the winds, and I will draw out a sword after them. And it's happening now. It's happening now. When you see Jake get gunned down, like this guy, this last guy, what his name is, his rapper, that was the Lord sending a sword after him, man. Some people dying by these pestilences, right? Hey, um, uh, diabetes, high blood pressure, those are pestilences, man. Those are pestilences, man. Jake died from different kind of ailments. Those are pestilence, man. Or you ain't died from that. You got hit by somebody hit you with your shooter cane. That was the sword, man. Jake down, hey man. It say, thus shall my anger be accomplished, and I will cause my fury to rest upon them, and I will be comforted. Hey, and this is the Lord appeasing his wrath, man. These judgments that happen, this is the Lord appeasing his wrath, man. Because it tell you in Job, was that Job 34? I think it is. Let me get it real quick. Let me get it from the phone. I think it's Job 34. Let me see. In Job 34, it say, yeah, this is Job 34 and 13. It reads, no, let's read 12. It reads, it say, yes, surely power will not do wickedly, neither will the Almighty pervert judgment. Who have given him a charge over the earth, or who have disposed the whole world? If he set his hand, Salakia, if he set his heart upon man, if he gather unto himself his spirit and his breath, all flesh shall perish together, and man shall turn again unto dust. If if now thou hast understanding, hear this, hearken to the voice of my words. Shall even he that hateth right govern? And will thou condemn him that is most just? Is it fit to say to a king, thou art wicked, and to the prince, ye are ungodly? How much less to him that accepteth not the persons of princes, nor regard the rich more than the poor, for they all are the work of his hands. In a moment shall they die, and the people shall be troubled at midnight, and pass away, and the mighty shall be taken away without hand. Listen, man, the Lord can snap his fingers and do away with every human on the planet, man. But for his elect's sake, man. Ezekiel 5 and 13. Thus shall my anger, thus shall my anger be accomplished, and I will cause my fury to rest upon them, and I will be comforted. See, and they shall know that I, the Lord Yahweh, have spoken it in my zeal, when I have accomplished my fury in them. Moreover, I will make thee waste and a reproach among the nations that are round about thee, in the sight of all that pass by. Well, we want to get down with everybody that passed by. So the Lord gave us over to him, man. So it shall be a reproach and a taunt, and instruction and astonishment unto the nations that are round about thee, when I shall execute judgments in thine anger, in thee, in anger, and in fury, and in furious rebukes. I, Yahweh, have spoken it. When I shall send upon thee the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you, and I will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. So I will send upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave thee, and pestilence and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee. I, Yahweh, have spoken it. See, he said he's going to take away and will break your staff of bread. What is that? Your comfort. Jake around here just chilling, man. Isaiah 3 and 1. Like it. See, God will remove the leaders, man. For behold, the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, doeth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff. That's your comfort, your protection, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. So it said the stay and the staff. So the Lord's going to take away your protection, your comfort, and your what? The whole stay of bread, your food, and the whole stay of water. The Lord is taking that away. You know, and with that, it said a mighty man was that Isaiah 3 at the bottom of this chapter, Isaiah 3 and 25, talking to the women. He's going to take these women, you want you a little thug and a gangster and a dope boy. It said a mighty man and a man of war, the judge and the prophet, and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50s, the captain of 50, and the honorable man, and the counselor, and the cunning artificer, and the eloquent orator. You see, the Lord is taking these away, man. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them, which is the Edomites, man. So, it was just something I was thinking about, man, going into this whole thing with the Lord. The Lord got these devils moving, man. And we see what's happening. The brothers sending me, listen, these devils ain't playing about these robots, man. They ain't playing, man. These devils are serious, and more every day as the day pass. Hey, the brother Kazak Bunyan Hall will be sending me articles, man. These devils is moving, man, with these robots. And they showed us in the movies, man. So just something I was thinking about when I had this little vision, man. And it was crazy because I was flying around on the outskirts and I was seeing it happen from in the sky, man. When these devils come in and block off these cities, man. And Jake ain't gonna be able to get nothing. Let me see. So yeah, Lord willing is edifying, man. Lord willing. And the water for tuning in, the water to all you Akim not walk, man. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah. I gotta give all praise honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem Rikah Korash. Double honors to the apostles and the bishops and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, ready concepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, working on the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Akwath who are listening and learning. If you sisters who are listening and learning. Hey, Lord wasn't edifying, man. Hey, the water for your precept, brothers. The water. Let's read this from GMS we got next. Mac put up let's read Jeremiah 30 and 23. It reads, Behold, the whirlwind of the Lord goeth forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind, it shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. Which applies to 2/3 of Jake, man, because it tell you in Jeremiah 5, starting at 26, that Jake has surpassed the deeds of the wicked, man. It say, the fierce anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have done it, and until he have performed the intents of his heart in the latter days, ye shall consider it. Yeah, man. But then it's gonna be too late, man. And the Lord's showing these examples right now, man. A lot of things going on that we see and we know. We know, hey, it's the Lord, man. It's the Lord, man. Oh, let me get this. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about in Ecclesiasticus 40. Ecclesiasticus 40 in verse. Let's read 9. It reads. Let's read 8. Ecclesiasticus 40 and 8. It reads. Such things happen unto all flesh. Oh, you know what? Nope. Let me get this. So this Ecclesiastes chapter 40. Let's read 5. It reads, wrath and envy, trouble and unquietness, fear of death and anger and strife, in the time of rest upon his bed. His night sleep do change his knowledge. And that goes into what's that? Job, ain't read in a minute. Is that Job 33 and 14? And the slumbers upon the bed. It's a little or nothing is his rest, and afterward he is in his sleep, as in a day of keeping watch, troubled in the vision of his heart, as if he were escaped out of a battle. When all is safe, he awaketh and marveled that the fear was nothing. And that's heavy, man, because brother be getting different type of dreams and visions, man. And then you wake up and be like, man, such things happen unto all flesh, both man and beast, and that is sevenfold more upon sinners, death and bloodshed, strife and sword, calamities and famine, tribulation and the scourge. And what does it say about the scourge? For all these amendments, for all these scourges, they will not repent, man. Seeing these things happen to other people right now, and Jake still is not repenting, man. It reads, verse 10, these things are created for the wicked, and for their sakes, for the wicked sakes, came the flood. Man, it say all things that are of the earth shall turn to the earth again, and that which is of the waters doeth return into the sea. All bribery and injustice shall be blotted out, but true dealings but true dealing shall endure forever. The goods of the unjust shall be dried up like a river and shall vanish with the noise. What noise? From those missiles, everything going to vanish. It say, and shall vanish with noise. The missiles, like a great thunder and rain. It said, while he openeth his hand, he shall rejoice. So shall transgressors come to naught. The children of the ungodly shall not bring forth many branches, but are as unclean roots upon a hard rock. Hey, and we talk about this a lot. I know I do. Can you imagine the men of the Lord, you right now, being the foundation of your generation in the kingdom, man? Can you imagine millions and millions coming out of your loins because you made it? You made it on you made it on the chariots, man. And you get to bring back your whole family line, man. Lord willing, because it said those that the wicked they shall not bring forth branches, man, in the kingdom. No, they got to come back through somebody. We trying to be the ones that bring everybody back, man. I don't want to have to come back through nobody, man. Lord willing. So anyway, again, throughout for you, brother precepts, man. Wow for tuning in. Get paid, possible. All right, Shalom. Wow, Bob, again, the water for you, brother precepts, man. The water, man. Shalom.